Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have another top 5. We have the most played tanks. Yes, the top 5 most played tanks in Blitz right now. And I'll have you know, we have a different list. So, of course, we are used to seeing the AMXmas and not just being the most played, I think more the most popular, but the difference is the most played is how many battles have been played on a tank, and the most popular is how many people are playing the tank, where today we are looking at the most played. In the next few days we'll look at the most popular. So number 5 on the list is the grill. So the grill's back. 2.72 million players have been playing this tank over the last update, so that's pretty huge. You know, that is pretty huge for the grill. Now, I love the grill. The grill is one of my favorite tank destroyers in Blitz. I think it is amazing. A lot of people have negative views about the grill, but honestly, I love it. I really do love the grill, and it is one of my go-to tank destroyers in tier 10. So I'm not surprised at this being in the list. I know it's always been a popular tank, and I think it's gonna continue to be a popular tank for the coming years. So the grill at number 5 with 2.72 million players. Moving on to tank number 4. Now we have the KV2. The KV2's back, and for me, it's one of the most disappointing tanks in the game. And that was only because of, you have the tanks like the Smasher now. Now, those of you that have a Smasher, you just kind of think, what is the point playing a KV2 when I could just play a KV2 that's much better in a tier higher, like that's got better pen, that's just better in all aspects. It is an amazing tank. However, the KV2 used to be like the most popular tank in the game, and I should imagine the top 5 most popular tanks in the game ever, or the most played tanks in the game ever, I still think this would be in that top 5, and probably even top 2. I do honestly think it is right up there. I'd say it's probably second in that top 5 all-time list, but for me it's one of the most annoying tanks ever, because it's just frustrating how it used to be so much fun to play. Like, honestly, it was a go-to tier 6, and even those that never really played tier 6 that was worried about their stats, it was still like, if you wanted to platoon and have fun, you would do a double KV2, and that's kind of been left in the past. And I'm still surprised how popular this tank still is, and I get that not everybody has a Smasher, but it's just not fun for me anymore. Yes, you can still one-shot tanks, you can still do a big amount of damage, but majority of your shots, honestly, is with HE, that you're just splashing because you can't penetrate them, and for me it's just not a fun tank anymore. Having said that, still 2.84 million people have played this tank over the last update, so it's still an important tank in the game. And people are still playing it, so at least there is that. I just wish Wargaming would give it a bit more love, but hey ho, it is what it is, and we can't go back to the past, unfortunately. So that is tank number 4. Moving on to tank number 3, and we have the E100. Now, again, this has always been a popular tank, and I think a lot of that is to do with things like the Tiger. You know, the Tiger's a very unique tank, but honestly, I do love the E100. When you could actually sometimes do shots like that, yes, it is fun. Now, the best thing about the E100 is recently Wargaming did buff the first gun on it, you know, the gun that nobody would ever play, and it actually really did suck, and you'd only play it as a meme. You'd only play that gun if you just wanted to be memeing. But Wargaming gave that gun a lot of love, and a lot of people would actually say the other gun now is better than this big gun. And you know, I'm not disagreeing, because it is a fantastic gun. It's got the penetration, it's got the DPM, you know, it's got a lot of positive things about the gun, and it catches a lot of people off because you shoot and they think you're on a massive reload, and all of a sudden a few seconds later again you're shooting, and they're like, what the hell? So I do think the other gun is better to use. But I still enjoy the big gun. I still enjoy the big damage, and so does a lot of other people. They still prefer this big gun. Now, this tank has 2.99 players playing this game over the last update. So it's still huge. It's still a huger number, and I think, you know, over the years it will continue to be a very, very popular tank. So that is number 3. Let's move on to the top 2. And we have a new tank on the list. It is the Destiny. Now, again, this is quite frustrating, especially when you can have shots like that only do 100 damage. Now, the tank is a decent tank. I'm not going to lie. It is a decent tank. And, of course, it does have HESH. And, of course, it does have tungsten shells. So that really, really does help. Now, I'm not a lover of the tank on my main account because I just didn't have enough time. I didn't have enough money, etc., to actually grind the tank out fully. So I've not got the bigger gun, I've not got the bigger tracks, etc., etc. But even playing it like this, it is still a decent tank, and a lot of people have been playing this tank. So you look at the E100 with 2.99 million players. This has 5 million players. So, you know, not quite double, but almost there. And of course, that is because it was part of the season tank. It was very easy to get. It was easy to get if you wanted it pretty much stock. If you wanted it fully upgraded, of course, I didn't even manage to do that either. But, you know, it's still a decent tank, even if you don't have it fully upgraded. So let's move on to the most popular tank, or the most played tank currently in World of Tanks Blitz. Now, where I said the KV2 is probably top 2 in the all-time, I still think that this is potentially number 1. Of course, we are looking at the FV215B183, the Death Star. It's always going to be a popular tank. Everybody wants a Death Star. Literally everybody wants a Death Star. And again, it's always on the top of the list. Now, of course, with 3 million players playing the E100, and then you've got 5 million players playing the Destiny. This is pretty much 6.4 million players that have played this tank over the last update. So it's always pretty much going to be number 1. This is like, it's not even a great tank. Honestly, it's not even a great tank, but people want that alpha. They want the alpha, they like the alpha, and when you can come sideways and do 1700 damage to a grill, literally completely annihilated him, completely. That is why people want to play this tank, and that is why it is going to continue to be the most popular and the most played tank ever to come in Blitz. So let me know, are you surprised at anything in this list in the comments below? But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.